Hello Scrollgers, welcome to Scrollscast number 6. My name is Smogan, and today we have Schmelchior versus JonasHasbach. I'll call them Schmel and Jonas, I believe, because I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing those names correctly. So Schmel has a mono Decay deck, which is pretty common on the ladder right now. A lot of players playing Decay. Jonas has a mono energy deck. We'll get to look at his hand in a bit and see what kind of energy deck it might be, though I'm just going to go ahead and assume mono energy structures. Schmel makes his first sacrifice, nothing to play on turn 1. This does indeed look like a structure deck for Jonas, Machine Divinator, Ether Pump, and Machine Chant tipping us off. So, the key to this game for Schmel will be establishing quite a few creatures on the board as quickly as he can and getting some good idle damage so that he can eventually finish the game with Loyal Darklings, Necrogeddons, Watchers, or whatever other direct damage he has in his deck. If Jonas can fill the board with structures, Schmel is going to have a very, very difficult time getting through and actually winning the game. So Jonas definitely playing for the long game, but for now dropping a Hired Smuggler in the middle. Hired Smuggler, an excellent start for any energy deck that has structures in it. But Languid effectively neutralizes that. Perfect counter to the Hired Smuggler. Schmel will sacrifice up, and next turn he'll be able to play a Cursemonger to get something down and going. Jonas looks like he does have some choices on the third turn. He could drop the Divinator or the Forge. Chooses the Forge wisely, plays it up front, right in the middle, so that he can protect his middle idol as long as possible. Schmel has a very nice hand right now. He'll go 4 into 5 into 6 with 3 strong plays consecutively. Note how he's splitting his units to get around Energy's area of effect damage like Blind Rage or eventually Thunder Surge. Oculus Cannon comes down to make the middle row more difficult. 2 burns and a Thunder Surge in hand. None of that deals 4 damage to kill the Cursemonger, but if he can get any damage on that at all, he should be able to finish it off. Sacrifices a Watcher to go up to Oblivion Seeker, plays it in the middle. Passes the turn over to Jonas. Now he has a Clock Library he could play out. But no, he decides to sacrifice it and plays a Machine Divinator instead, so that'll start counting down not only the Forge, but also the Oculus Cannon. Sacrifice his Oblivion Seeker up for 6 Decay, I would assume. Does have 2 attacking units, cannot quite kill this Forge, unfortunately. Actually, he sacrificed his Witch Doctor. Interesting. I would think he'd want that powerful unit in play that's difficult to remove. Lifestealer's a strong play too, as at 5 health it's very difficult for energy to kill without using Violent Dispersal, and there's only so many of those to go around. Burn on the Oblivion Seeker, so both players will draw scrolls from that. A useless contraption from his deck. Sacrifices for a Solemn Giant and an Ether Pump. Automa Forge pumps out a Gun Automaton. Alright, Schmel has a pretty strong hand, does have another Witch Doctor now. So he could sacrifice potentially the Damn and Curse. There's not a lot of targets in Jonas's deck for Damn and Curse, really just the Solemn Giants later on in the game if it's like most mono energy structure decks. Schmel weighing his options here. He could drop an Oblivion Seeker, sacrifices his Necrogeddon up for 6, positions his units so that he can play a Witch Doctor right in the middle where it's defended from attacks, and he's now off that Oculus Cannon row, so he did that so that the random countdown wouldn't lead the Oculus Cannon to killing his units. Metal Wonder, useless contraption, some choices, plays the useless contraption out, now has 3 structures out, so if he can get a Machine Chant, he'll be in pretty good shape. That's one of those better ways to kill these high health units. Can still play a Hellspit or Mortar, sacrifices for resources so he can play one of his 4 drops, plays the Ether Pump in the back up top. I personally like to play Ether Pumps towards the front so that they attack first, so they can soften enemy units so that your other units can get the kill shot, but in the back does make it easier to protect. Damn and Curse on the Machine Divinator to take it out, and then moves his Lifestealer up to kill the Oculus Cannon. Loyal Darkling up, Cursemonger, and a Blightbearer. Cursemonger could curse something or just kill this Gun Automaton. He just kills the Gun Automaton. Fine play. Charge Coil very strong against Decay, if he can protect it. So what Schmel has done so far is he has managed to get out many strong creatures, so Jonas is going to have to use some of his best removal, Violent Dispersal or Machine Chant, on 3 of these creatures to take them out. Later he could potentially burn the Blightbearer, but does go ahead and burn the Cursemonger, giving his opponent a Husk. Doesn't have as many structures on the board as he would like, but unfortunately just doesn't have time to do it right now. His Hired Smuggler will die unless Schmel decides to deal damage to idols instead, which is what I would advise. Rot Eater not as good in this matchup, sacrifices it, unfortunately just pulls a few low drops. At least they'll have high, at least the Tribesman has high health and is again difficult to kill. Oblivion Seeker, the probable play. Maybe down here in front of this Husk, he's trying to spread his units out to minimize the Thunder Surge damage, though right now maybe the Oblivion Seeker right in the middle, because a Thunder Surge here on these units wouldn't be a big deal. Note how he did move to the middle row so he can deal damage to this idol. At this stage in the game, Schmel is definitely ahead, but Jonas could easily stack the board with structures and stall out until his removal can catch him up. So Schmel needs to acknowledge that at this point he has the advantage and really push and get some damage on idols, only killing the structures that are absolutely necessary in that pursuit. Meanwhile, Jonas does indeed have lots of structures in his hands. In his hand, the Oculus Cannon and the Charge Coil would be great to have out. But the Hellspitter is a better play, actually I agree, because it defends the Ether Pump from all of these angry units that are going to come up. Could see an Oculus Cannon played right behind it to make it even less likely that Schmel would move up to the top. But at that point, he would probably just ignore all of this up here and just push down to the bottom 3 rows, which would effectively render a lot of this not as useful for Jonas. Charge Coil comes down, so that'll start pecking away next turn. Ooh, Harvester. Ripper sacrificed 2 Ilmaya Hunters, so those are more high health units. So right now he's got a way, obviously he wants to commit some more stuff to the board if he can, so he can put more pressure on Jonas. But if he puts too much stuff down there, for example, Harvester and an Ilmaya Hunter, then he risks connecting all of his units for an epic Thunder Surge. This Ether Pump will be going off no matter what. 4 units connected and 3 units connected over here. Now it's 4 and 4, so reasonably well separated. Thunder Surge is not a blowout play in this situation, but it's still a good play if Jonas can draw it from the top of his deck because he sacrificed his earlier one. Useless Contraption did its job, tanking a big attack. Machine Divinator. So he could play Hellspitter Mortar with a Divinator behind it to strengthen all of his structures. Could play Hellspitter with Charge Coil behind it. Still stacking on the top 2 rows. There's the Oculus Cannon that comes down. Okay. Charge Coil gets a good hit on a Loyal Darkling. And then the Ether Pump comes and damages everything. So that means a lot of units are now in burn range. Not very many burns left in Jonas's deck until the cycle, though. Second Harvester could come out. A Lifestealer could come out. Harvester's pretty good in this matchup. Not phenomenal, but pretty good. Lifestealers are pretty much a superstar, though, because it's so difficult to remove with 5 health. And especially that it grows after destroying units, and that's what it's pretty good at doing. So even these Charge Coils and Ether Pumps will not wear it down as well. But still, the board is pretty compact. I wouldn't be shocked if Schmel decided not to play out any more units, so as not to connect everything. But maybe he just acknowledges at this point that if Thunder Surge does come down, it's just going to be a big play. Harvester instead played to the top, and the units come in for some good idol damage. So 1 idol drops, it's the middle idol, and pressure being applied to these bottom 2 idols. At this point, Jonas has to be super careful. Note that he did draw this Thunder Surge. He has to be super careful because not only do the Harvesters trigger off great damage if the Thunder Surge comes down, but a Necrogeddon at this point is lethal. It only takes 6 units down here at the bottom of the board to finish off these 2 idols since they're unguarded. So whatever he does, he needs to think carefully about his positioning. He cannot allow his opponent to have that many units that close to these idols. chooses to forego the Thunder Surge on this turn, playing out 3 units to the bottom to the 4th row, filling that up. Really hoping for some good Charge Coil hits here, maybe some good Hellspitter hits here. Charge Coil hits the Harvester, putting it into burn range as well. Soul Steal, while it could kill this Smuggler, maybe not a great play because that would again connect more units to the Thunder Surge chain. Has 5 damage attacking down here, 6 more damage attacking up here. Does go ahead and bring out a Meyer Shambler. I don't know that there's any way he can not connect most of his army at this point. No other plays from his hand because Brain Lice is dead. Unless he Brain Lices his own unit to try to draw a scroll off of it. Help count down a Harvester perhaps. Moves his creatures down to the bottom row. That'll take that idol down to 2 into Darkling range. Moves his Harvester up so that if a Thunder Surge does come out and nothing else happens, then that Harvester will be able to trigger and deal a lot of damage. Also moves his units to kill this Hellspitter Mortar. It will let this Oculus Cannon attack, but it will just kill a Hunter, not a huge deal. Schmel doing a good job of getting lots of idle damage, but still he's tenuously close to losing control of the game if just a few more structures can come down. Jonas doesn't quite have the resources to make a Thunder Surge play along with something else, so even if he does make that play, and he has it right now, I mean, that's just too good to pass up, right? Look at all that damage. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units would die. Both Harvesters would trigger. I don't know that the Harvesters would do a ton. It would take out 4 structures with those Harvester attacks. Or potentially he stacks them both on this lane and kills that idol, which would, I guess, mean Loyal Darkling for the win. He does go ahead and Thunder Surge. There's the big explosion. 1 Husk spawns, both Harvesters ready in action. Really, really, really hoping for a Charge Coil to hit these Harvesters. Hits a Husk, and then does hit 1 Harvester. Well done. Okay, the Charge Coil did its job. Only 1 Angry Harvester attacking, as well as this Witch Doctor. So his units were way softened up, and that all came from chaining them together with the Soul Steal, that wherever that the Meyer Shambler spawned was going to connect the army all to one another. Moves up to kill the Oculus Cannon. Again, his units are connected. He could move this Life Stealer, so at least it's 2 and 2. And he does so, but this Ether Pump is going to come through and wipe out basically everything that Schmel has at this point, other than what he plays out from his hand. The Ether Pump plus these Charge Coils are going to be very, very big. But still, even though he's about to lose everything, he's done so much idle damage with this Harvester attack. This idol's going to be down to 2. That's really just 2 Loyal Darklings that he needs to draw and play and get killed for the win. I believe we've already seen 2 Loyal Darklings played, so there should only be 1 more left in the deck, if I am remembering correctly. I believe he played 1 early and then he sacrificed 1 early, but I could be misremembering, but I think there's only 1 left in the deck. So that means that we're waiting for either a Watcher, some more idle damage from a creature, or for the deck to cycle for him to start trying to draw them again. So here come the attacks. 2 idols down to 2 health, 1 idol destroyed. Absolutely crunch time for Jonas. He needs to end this game as quickly as he can, but unfortunately, MES is just not great at ending games quickly. It's all about drawing things out as long as possible. Eventually, he'll get a Solemn Giant out, but even then, he's only on 7 resources, and he needs 10 to really take advantage of the Giant with haste. But that Ether Pump, either way, did a ton of damage. And here's the first of those Darkling that he needs to win. 1 Loyal Darkling drawn. So he can go ahead and play it out and kill the idol, but what I would rather see him do is save it. I would save it so that his opponent doesn't know what the stakes are, and continue to just populate the board and try to draw the opponent's attention away from trying to win the game. And that is, of course, if there is not a Darkling left in the deck. I'm operating under the assumption that he has to get a few more turns of draw before he can get the second Darkling. Spark and Burn in hand. Could take out this Life Stealer. There's the spark, there's the burn, draws a scroll, sacrifice it immediately. 2 more cards, Metal Wonder and Machine Chant, both good, but I mean Metal Wonder doesn't do much in this matchup. Necrogeddon comes down, so Necrogeddon provides another win condition. It just takes 3 units down below on this final row, or 3 units up here, to finish the game with Necrogeddon right now. So at this point, if I'm Schmel, I am just populating the board. But he looks like he's trying to draw, trying to get to that 3rd Darkling, or maybe 4th Darkling. Blightbearer comes down. That's clever placement on the Blightbearer. Now at this point he can get 4 units to up this top at the top, 3 units down below. So with Necrogeddon he can win the game on either of these idols next turn if things stay the way they are. But no, 1 unit is killed, so that makes the win not possible from Necrogeddon unless he top decks a Ripper, I think, because then he could sacrifice up to 8. Structures deal their damage, take down more units. Necrogeddon will not win the game this turn. Actually, yeah, no, will not win the game this turn. Thinking. Still 5 scrolls left in the deck he needs to get through before he can try to draw more Darklings. It would be nice if he can get this Darkling killed before the deck cycle to make it more likely to come up quicker. Maybe he goes ahead and sacrifices it now to go ahead and take that idol down. There's no displacement in an energy deck, so he doesn't have to worry about it being moved necessarily. Note that 2 Ether Pumps and 2 Charge Coils are attacking next turn, so whatever Schmel plays is going to take at least 2 damage and possibly even more. Man, this matchup is really on a razor edge. If Schmel didn't get those like 2 or 3 turns at about round 9 to 11 where he dealt really good idol damage, he would just be hopeless to catch up at this point. The key was that he managed to get 2 idols down to 2 health to give him some outs to win this game. Only has a few seconds left to think about what to play. He probably wants to avoid playing out a bunch of small creatures because they're just going to take a lot of damage. Could just Languid to draw some more cards, play out a Witch Doctor perhaps. Or, okay, Oblivion Seeker does come down. And a Languid to draw a scroll. 4 left in the deck. Did not sacrifice his Darkling, just let it go ahead and attack, assuming that, I guess it is just going to go ahead and die this turn, so that was the right play. Jonas spams the board with structures and units. It's going to be extremely difficult to get through with creature damage. Really coming down to the Darkling. Brain Lice on his own Oblivion Seeker. That'll draw him 3 scrolls next turn. Drops out a ton of creatures. That was a quick turn. I think the Spectate mode was trying to catch up. Ekomaton's not great right now, but goes ahead and plays one. I would rather see him draw scrolls first. There's a Clock Library, and there's the Solemn Giant, so at least he can start thinking about trying to finish this game. He knows he is absolutely on a clock right now. Drops the Giant, can start attacking with it next turn. Hellspitter, even he does get a hit for 1 whole damage. Perhaps a little more unimpressive than we're used to seeing the Hellspitter hits. And look, here's that Darkling. He drew how many scrolls that turn? He drew 3 off the Oblivion Seeker, plus 1 for the draw, plus 2 for his sacrifice. So he was able to see 6 scrolls that turn, found the Loyal Darkling, killed it with his own Daemon Curse, and finished off the matchup. Excellent drawing. The Loyal Darkling came up right at the deck cycle, right in time for the win. Congratulations to Schmelchior for taking out JonasHasbach's Mono Energy Structure deck. Thank you guys for listening. This has been Scrollscast with Smogan. You can find more videos like this on the Badger Guild YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe so you get notifications when more videos are recorded.